Good day. I'm Alexander White, Privacy Commissioner for Bermuda. My office is charged to regulate the use of personal information by organizations in a manner which recognizes both the need to protect the rights of individuals and the need for organizations to use personal information for legitimate purposes. You may have heard of similar laws from around the world in Europe, Canada, and most recently, California. I'm excited to talk to you today, though of course, I wish it were in person. One of Bermuda's strengths is that the many talented people living here are so readily available to meet and collaborate. I genuinely hope to hear from you and look forward to building relationships to help your business succeed. Bermuda sits at the crossroads of the Atlantic, physically, culturally, and economically. This has long been to the island's benefit, claiming the best of multiple worlds to create a prosperous and successful community. From a data protection standpoint, there are two schools of thought on each side of the Atlantic, or so the stereotypes go. Europe calls for respect for individual rights to privacy, while the United States encourages a free market, business-friendly approach. Many organizations and even countries now appear to find themselves in the position that Bermuda has been in so often throughout its history of being forced to choose a side. But Bermuda has shown that this is a false dichotomy. As has happened so often before, instead of choosing a side, we must look to forge a new path, taking the best of both worlds. This may mean embracing flexibility and, at times, a certain sense of uncertainty as we work through novel issues. But following a middle way, a different way, has the potential to succeed in the spirit of both ideologies. This is the goal of Mid-Atlantic Privacy, my office's guiding philosophy. We're often confronted with questions asking which is more important, business or privacy, innovation or individuals, prosperity or rights. We must reject the narrative of or and seek win-win solutions. Instead of zero-sum games, we must focus on privacy and. We must find a way to give the highest respect to individual rights to privacy, but do so in a business-friendly way that shows the work's value to both individuals and organizations. Why should we choose between business success and data rights? Particularly in the field of data protection, the two are intimately linked, with many organizations even seeing the harvest of personal data as a way to make a quick buck or euro or quid. But in addition to the moral imperative of implementing a privacy program, for most, if not all organizations, doing so will help the business become more efficient and mature in how it operates. Its data stores will become more organized and more lean, narrowly tailored to the goals they wish to achieve, and thereby reducing excess risk of harm to people and to the organization's solvency. You can read more about these ideas of privacy as a business enabler on my blog under the heading, Privacy Means Business. Standing between the competing, though converging, privacy ideologies on both sides of the Atlantic, there is still a wide swath of common ground. How can businesses identify practices that are universally useful for compliance and the true goal of reducing risk? By focusing on this common ground, organizations can rest assured that the time and effort they invest in good data practices will serve them in good stead, no matter which regulator may come inquiring. They can reduce their compliance costs by not duplicating efforts, even if it means going beyond what is legally required by the more lax of the regulations. By focusing on the commonalities and the true risks involved, we cut to the heart of the matter, protecting the rights and respecting the preferences of individuals. As a regulator and in society more broadly, we must ask what may be the best methods to promote good, responsible behavior in organizations that are stewards of data. In what ways should we all challenge the organizations to continue their useful and socially beneficial innovation while protecting privacy? Despite everyone's natural resistance to limitations, challenges are in fact the best tool for creativity. Nothing is more daunting than the blank page, but place a speck on it and an artist can craft an entire world. Our brains are built to respond to puzzles and challenges. So how can we structure incentives and other mechanisms to trigger that genius? Privacy is critical to the success of modern societies, but we must remember that in and of itself, privacy is not necessarily the goal. Privacy helps our democracies to function by protecting freedoms of assembly and secret ballots. It enables our economies by helping us trust one another in online and other marketplaces where we do not know the other party. And as we all get shown more and more personalized content or advertisements, we may be getting completely different information than other people. Privacy supports the very integrity of our minds and decision-making. These are complicated matters. As we keep learning in the world of data protection, there is not and could never be a manual for every situation and context. And we cannot simply act as a balloon and blow wherever the wind may take us. Instead, we should build a sail that can harness those winds and turn to a compass to help us navigate them. With all these thoughts in mind, I've developed the Mid-Atlantic Privacy Compass, whose cardinal and ordinal points highlight critical considerations. These directional points serve as guide markers for organizations, oversight groups, and society generally in support of industry standards like fair information practices and privacy by design principles. As data protection practices become more mature in the level of specificity with which procedural actions must be taken, the compass can provide a broader view and a tool to inform strategic decisions. For one example, one of my compass points focuses on the importance of responsibility to others. I've mentioned that often privacy is framed in the context of counterbalances. As we've been told, we must choose between privacy or technological advances or national security or any number of other laudable goals. Privacy is essential to the functioning of our democracies, our societies. So solutions by their very nature must embrace privacy as an essential element. As I said earlier, this is a false dichotomy. The solution is not to choose privacy or something else, but to develop a strategy for privacy and. To continue our nautical metaphors, privacy is not an anchor, but more like ballast, an essential component that improves the stability and functioning of the ship. If we omit it for the perceived sake of expediency, we only create problems that will arise when the seas get choppy. That said, responsibility does not solely fall on organizations. Oversight bodies and stakeholder groups have a responsibility to participate constructively in the process. All of these participants are needed to develop well-defined systems of collaboration so that technological and data processes are formed in responsible ways that respect the rights of the individuals. The burden cannot be placed only on the organizations. Everyone must share the load. Regulators around the world have developed sandboxes, or structures where innovative organizations can test and experiment in a controlled environment and in close coordination with oversight expertise. Of course, we know something about sand here in Bermuda, which is famous for its pink-tinted beaches. My office has developed a program to assist organizations via direct input and cooperation, the Privacy, Innovation, and Knowledge Sharing, or PINK, Sandbox. If your organization might be engaged in a novel technology or use case and would like to participate in this kind of close cooperation, please contact me to express interest. By the nature of our community, we're a collaborative space where interactions between participants are convenient. I'm sure you will find Bermuda to be ideal to serve as a model. Some organizations resist these types of programs as limitations or restrictions. Again, I make the argument that restrictions are a critical component of any creative process and can inspire greater success. Recall the story of the NASA engineers helping Apollo 13 return home, forced to build an air filter using only the spare parts already on the spacecraft. Or consider pianist Keith Jarrett, who in a live jazz concert in Cologne played perhaps his greatest performance in part because the piano he was using had certain poor playing keys that he was forced to avoid. Challenges can help us become more innovative, making different connections in our brains to solve puzzles in new ways. Responsibility means learning to operate in challenging circumstances. It means that organizations cannot simply take the easy way. They must consider their ethical responsibilities and individuals' rights and become more inspired for it. I acknowledge it is hardly novel to say that an organization must act ethically or that they must prioritize individuals. My aim is that the framework of the compass and the way its points bleed and blend into each other like the four winds will give organizations a better conception of how to frame their goals. These philosophies will be the guiding tools of my office as we set sail with privacy in Bermuda. To borrow a well-traveled phrase, privacy is a journey, not a destination. It is our map for reaching our goals. My greatest hope is that my office and the Mid-Atlantic Privacy Compass helps you navigate to yours. Thank you. To learn more about my office and our work, visit our website at privacy.bm.